everybody, welcome to the middle of nowhere. Thought I'd just do a quick video where I'd be going over the parts I'll be using on the next build. This build is actually not for a client, it's not for me, it's for my son who's turning 18 in a couple of weeks. And I'm not going to go ahead and do the build with him on camera, I want to keep that private, but I did want to share with you what I'll be using. This is, as you can see, going to be a small form factor build, which is my first, and I'm pretty excited about it. My son is turning 18, so I thought it'd be a great way to introduce him to the PC world, as well as something small for him to take with him to college, since you really don't have a lot of space in dorms, unless things have changed since I've gone to school, which, well, everything's changed, so who the hell knows. Anyway, let's go over the parts. This will be an AMD Ryzen build, and I'll be using the Ryzen 7700X. Yes, it's last generation, but I got most of these parts on discount from Amazon Prime Day this past summer. This is an 8-core 16-thread CPU and should be plenty fast for him to be able to play games, do his computer programming, as he's interested in 𝐶ompSci, and also do any spreadsheets or whatever else he has to do. As for storage, I'm going with a 4TB M.2 drive, the Lexar NM790. This is PCIe Gen 4, and it should be plenty of storage for his games, his documents, and everything else in between, as well as be plenty fast. For the motherboard, I went with the Asus ROG Strix B650EI gaming Wi-Fi. This is, as I've already said, an ITX motherboard. It uses the B650E chipset, so it does have a PCIe 5 M.2 slot available, but we're only going with one drive, and it will be Generation 4. Cooling the CPU is the Noctua NH-U12A Chromax Black. This is a 158mm tall CPU cooler. It's a single tower. It comes with two fans, two of the legendary NFA12 fans, and should be plenty to cool the 7700X. At that height that I mentioned, the 158mm, this does butt up against the Cooler Master's NR200's limit, but should be okay. For RAM, I went with a g.skill kit of Flare X5. It is 32GB, DDR5 6000 with a CL of 30. Moving on over here, powering the system is the Corsair SF850. This is a small form factor power supply. It is ATX 3.1 and PCIe 5.1 compliant. Regardless of what the box says, which does say 3.0 and 5.0, I've already made contact with Corsair and they verify that this power supply does adhere to the latest standards. For the GPU, I'm going with an oldie but a goodie, the EVGA RTX 3070 XC3 Ultra. I had this GPU for a few years now, and it's great. It's narrow enough and not long enough that it should, or short enough I should say, that it should fit in the case, which is the Cooler Master Masterbox NR200. This is a very popular small form factor case, and I couldn't pass up the deal last year when I saw it with a coupon and mail-in rebate, dropping the price down to around $48 after taxes and shipping. And finally, for some supplemental cooling, I have 4 Arctic P12 PWM PST fans. These will be 2 intake at the bottom and 2 exhaust at the top. That's the build. All I have now to do is, besides assemble it with my son, is wrap it all up. All the parts have been wrapped, and you might notice an extra one right here. It's kind of blending in with the rest. That is the Paul's Hardware gaming mat. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. The wrapping paper is a little bit on the nose. It's all video game themed. I've just been joking with my wife, going, I wonder if we should have got him something less conspicuous, maybe Hello Kitty or unicorns. Anyway, it's just to have fun. But all the parts are there. Can't wait for him to open it. I hope he's really excited. And here it is, my son's 18th birthday gift, built, complete, and up and running. I gotta say, the Cooler Master NR200 was a treat to build in. You can take apart almost everything about it so that you can really and easily put together all the components. I really had no issues, and I don't think I have any complaints other than the fact that the side panels seem to be bonded to the case through those nubbins. It's like trying to lift up Thor's hammer if you're not worthy.
Are you even pulling? Are you on my team?
And I don't know if I'm worthy to open these side panels. But I eventually was. Anyway, no, I didn't really have any issues. My son and I didn't. It was fun building with him. And yeah, I know I didn't do it on camera. I really wanted to keep it just us as a father-son bonding moment. But I did want to go over the build in total, kind of give you some of the highs and lows of the build, and also show you some of the sounds or decibel readings that I gathered while it was in idle and while it was being hammered with Cinebench and Furmark as well. It's at idle right now. It is on. It might turn off while I'm recording this and go to sleep. But it's fairly quiet at idle, and I love it. So surfing the internet, doing just general tasks, this thing is going to be pretty quiet. I am using a third-party software called Fan Control, which is free. You can donate to the creator. I highly recommend it. It is awesome. I set up custom curves for the CPU and the top fans. For whatever reason, because the bottom fans are plugged into the AIO port, I couldn't set up a custom curve, but I could manually control it. So I just set it to a static percentage where it's rather low. They are going to be pushing air directly into the GPU, which may elongate the 0 RPM mode for it, which is great because this EVGA GPU does have a 0 RPM mode when it's when it's not too hot, and so that's awesome. The other the CPU cooler is pulling air from the back and going to the front, and then the top fans obviously are exhaust, and the power supply is pulling air from the back and exhausting up the top as well. Not a lot of issues putting this thing together from an assembly standpoint. The only trouble I ran into was the expo settings with my RAM. Unfortunately, when I would run memtest 86 plus and expo was enabled, I'd get a lot of errors and it wouldn't pass. If I turned expo off, pass with flying colors. The reason I even bothered testing is because when my son started playing games, he ran into crashes over and over and over, as well as some random blue screens, and even I, during testing, have gotten some of those blue screens, and it's mainly been that driver IRQ or IRQL error that I cannot figure out what's causing that. I have tried a separate RAM kit from Corsair instead of G.skill, ran into the same issue. So right now, Expo is not enabled. If any of you out there have run into a similar issue, let me know what you've done to either rectify it or what I should do. Unfortunately for the G.skill RAM, I'm past the 30 days. The only thing I could do is do an RMA with G.skill themselves. So yeah, cannot get a stable Expo setting. I am in contact with some people on AMD builders group that I belong to, so maybe he'll be able to help me with setting the voltages right. Really didn't want to do much overclocking other than set Expo and resizable bar. I didn't want to do anything because it won't be with me. It's gonna be my son's college computer, and for now his final high school year. So I wanted just something simple, stable, and there you go. So I might just have to leave Expo off, unfortunately, since it is considered an overclock. Really wish that the DDR5 RAM speeds would just be sold as is out of the box instead of having to set those settings, but whatever. I also did some, and I might have mentioned this already, I did do some dB readings, so I will show you how loud and how quiet this thing can be at idle and while it's being hammered by Furmark and Cinebench, as well as during a gaming session playing Ready or Not, which is not a stable game. It also loves the VRAM. This 3070, while good, is also old. It's 4 years old, and also does not have enough VRAM. 8 gigs seems to not be enough apparently, because at high settings, it is hitting the limit of this GPU. At medium settings, it takes up about 6.5 gigs of VRAM, and I don't know if if Ready or Not's an unoptimized game. It's a game my son liked, and that's why I'm bringing it up. And it's really one of the only ones I've tested on this machine. Got great performance on a G-Sync monitor. It was getting over 150 frames at medium settings. So yeah, I don't know if that's high for that one, but I mean, it ran smooth as could be when it didn't crash. So yeah, so just a couple of issues that I ran into software-wise. As an SSF noob, I highly recommend this. This is a fun case to build in. It was a fun project. I'll list all the parts again and the prices that I bought them for. I did take advantage of quite a few Amazon Prime Day sales when buying this. That's why I took it into account. And actually I bought this case last year because I had a coupon and a rebate, so I was able to get this thing for dirt cheap. The small form factor universe is an expensive one, but it might be worth it if you're tight on space. And I know I could have saved some money by going with a cheaper motherboard and definitely a cheaper CPU cooler, but again, because I won't be around it all the time and it's for my son, I wanted to spend a little bit extra to have that peace of mind that, yeah, it's going to stay cool and get that good performance. Speaking of cool, the CCD would hit 96 degrees, and I researched that as well. I guess that's just a thing that AM5 CPUs do, is they like to go hot. I don't know. It wouldn't stay there long, and again, this was during Cinebench, so it would peak there and then it would cool down. What follows are dB readings as well as temperature readings of the PC while at idle, under full load with Cinebench and FurMark running, and while gaming. I played Ready or Not on medium settings at 1440p. CPU temps did get pretty high when Cinebench was running, but were much more manageable when gaming. GPU temps, even during FurMark, were in the 60s and 70s, with the hotspot reaching the 80s. Both CPU and GPU temperatures were much better when gaming, which is to be expected, but unfortunately the decibels weren't much reduced while gaming when compared to benchmarking. While lower, there just wasn't that dramatic decrease one might expect. We had fun, and he loves this, and I'm happy for him, and I'm happy he loves it. So yeah, he mostly does consoles, and now he can play PC games, program, because that's what he wants to do in college is 𝐂𝐫𝐬, and business as well. And yeah, so he'll have a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that like button if you liked the video or found it helpful. Stick around and watch some of the other content I've made. Give me those questions and comments down below, and I'll see you next time in the middle of nowhere. Thank you, Baron. We have an interloper. I think he wants to help. Right? You want to help build the PC? No, he wants food. He always wants food. He's always hungry.